Hey, 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 sweet one. Here we are again for another wonderful episode. I'm excited because I have Christina Woods in the house. Christina, so good to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Junie. Thank you.
I love your topic. I love your topic because we're going to be talking about boundaries. We're going to be talking about the energetics and the subconscious rules to create them with love and confidence. Like, yeah, we need that. We need that. We need that. So I'm so thrilled that we're going to be diving in. And of course, let's talk about who you are first.
Sure.
Because they're like, what? Who's this Christina Woods? So Christina is a licensed RTT therapist, clinical hypnotherapist, advanced theta healer, empowerment coach, Reiki master, and the CEO and founder of Wise Woods. Obviously, you've been doing some work.
Yeah, a little healing.
Yeah, you've been a little busy, which is amazing. And I love the combination. Speaking of combinations, you combine your background in corporate leadership along with your life experiences in dealing with trauma and abandonment to empower other women to trust their intuition and to set themselves free of self-doubt. Oh, yes. And she's been honing her intuition and spiritual energy practice throughout her entire life. And it is this experience, knowledge, and wisdom that she brings to every client during each session. Through this deep hypnotherapy and coaching work, she empowers women to shed old programming so they can live the life they deserve. Yes. And she wants everyone to stop looking outside for what they need and instead look inside themselves so they can live a life full of deep meaning and potential. You're speaking my language. This is what I stand for. I'm so thrilled to have you here. We just met. This is exciting. And let's just dive right in. You ready, sister?
Do it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, you are. It's beautiful. I actually would like to just start with your bio, which is RTT therapist, because I actually don't know what that is.
I know, it's a mouthful.
Huh? Yeah. What's RTT?
It is rapid transformational therapy, and it was created by Marissa Peer. If you ever follow Mind Valley, she has created her own method after 30 years of doing it. She's, I think, #1 therapist in the UK. And it's funny, this is my second career. This is not my first career. And I was listening to one of her meditations and I wrote in a journal, this is 3-4 years ago, Marissa Peer and hypnotherapy is going to change my life. And I knew I wanted to change my career, didn't know what it would look like. And fast forward, I was looking through old journals and found that page and said, okay, universe, I get it. And I signed up that day. So it's a method of hypnotherapy that uses NLP, uses other techniques, but the unique part of it is that it gets to the root of what's going on. So it's like gardening. You can't just chop off the top, use some positive affirmations and move on. Those things work, but let's get to the root of why don't you feel enough, or why do you self-sabotage, or why do you continue to do those things or feel those things, or let's look at the pattern. So we go in and find out the root, and then once we do that, we have this beautiful mind of ours and energy that we can change. Energy is always in motion, and we have neuroplasticity, so we can move these things and change these things. And that's what RTT is, this very rapid way of doing it. Gone are the days that we have to sit on a couch for 10 years, and cry.
Yeah, let's sit on a couch for 10 years and cry. And absolutely. I mean, things have changed so much.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be long. It can be quick. Knock it off. It can be quick.
Yeah. I love it. So rapid, all that stuff. Excuse me. I was just laughing with Christina saying, I haven't been coughing all day now. So
me too.
So beautiful. I love that. And I think that's one of the things that people really, they hold on to a lot of shame around. Why haven't I figured this out? Why haven't I broken through this? Why is it taking 10 years? And you're talking about getting to the core, you're getting to the roots. And that's an analogy I use a lot too. So love it. you also laid down a word that maybe not everybody knows, which is neuroplasticity. Can you want to just kind of talk about that for a second, about what that actually means, or are we going to get into that?
Yeah, no, that's a great,
yeah,
wonderful question. So, I mean, think of our mind, we have these highways and belief systems and patterns. And, we have, before we're 7 years old, we have this, I like to think of it as a vault, and we're just little sponges, and patterns and ways of thinking we create these little highways and pathways. And the beauty is that we can literally create new neural pathways through neuroplasticity, new different ways of thinking and believing, and which create the way we feel, the way we think, the way we act. And that's remarkable. What happens though is that our mind, these neural pathways, they're also at a cellular level. Our cells are addicted to the way we feel and our emotions. And, this isn't anything you haven't discussed, I'm sure, before. So, through neuroplasticity, the mind wants to go back to what's familiar. And so through neuroplasticity and repetition and understanding what is neuroplasticity, all right, we have to make a new belief familiar. We have to do it over and over and over until it feels comfortable and safe. And that is what we know with neuroplasticity. Well, if we do this over and over and let the mind and the body and the nervous system feel safe and comfortable with this new belief, it will accept it. It will be okay. It will become the new highway the energetic lane that we drive down.
And that's the great news. And this, again, like, I'm a shadow worker, I'm doing different work, similar work. It's great news. And one of the things I want to underline for our listeners and the people that are watching right now is take the shame off of the why am I not changing, and why do I keep falling back into these old patterns. It's because there's safety with what you know, and those cells and the memory. And the good news is you can create the new neural pathways. You can build the new bridges. So that's great news.
Yes.
Give yourself a break, take a breath into that, and know that there are people like Christina and like me that are doing this work to help you go faster and not feel like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Absolutely.
Like we're human beings. We've been wired.
Yeah, you're right. Right. This is how we're all wired. Not you, we're all wired this way. And absolutely, it's like, there's no shame in this. These beliefs were created to keep us safe and alive, period, end of story. So whatever the circumstance was that you needed to feel and believe to keep you safe is unique to us, the meaning we attach to it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I have 3 brothers and sisters, and we often look at each other at the, family dinner at a holiday and go, did you grow up in the same house I did? I don't recall that. That was not fun. That was not a fun vacation. Oh, no, it was great. No. I did not like that, because they attached a different meaning and experience to it. So, we all have our own meaning and filters and reasons. And so that's okay. And it doesn't mean that we got the short straw, or parents, there's so many beliefs that we create. And once we unpack that, we just empower ourselves, because those answers are inside. And I lived most of my life until I started knocking on the 50-year-old door and said, wait a second, stop looking outside, Christina. There's some patterns here you need to look at. And that's when my life really changed.
Wow. Because I know you were in a 30-year corporate career. Is that when you were like, whoa, things are not working? And that's when you kind of was like, let me figure out what this is about. Is that what happened for you?
Oh yeah. I was, VP corporate, flying around, very, very stressed out, very doer, masculine, toxic sort of culture and energy, and thought, well, this is it. I've got the life. I've got the picket fence and the big bank account, and I've got high heels on at the airport, and 2 kids, and I can make a sandwich and do these things. And isn't this supposed to be what I want? Yeah. And my autoimmune diseases and anxiety started coming in, and my marriage of 25 years fell apart, and this was just not a happy ending, and things were not working out, and I still did not feel enough. I still did not allow myself to have any needs or wants. And yeah, at that time, I really had to stop. And I had sort of this spiritual lane on the side, but felt that, oh, that's my little side thing I like to do once in a while. And I did not understand how to integrate those two. And when I had to, and is when my soul reached out and said, all right, when are you going to stop? I had a moment in the garden in my pajamas, and the universe said, when are you going to stop looking outside and start looking inside, and start looking at that you are enough? And that's when I had to really make changes and do some deep work, and had the courage to leave a 30-year career and pay the mortgage on my own and my college, my children's college tuition, and change my career. And this is the promise I made to myself. It's not just a goal or a new career. It's a promise that everyone has the answers inside, and we all deserve to know that. So.
So good. So good. And, that's one of the reasons I absolutely love working with women in the second half of life, because so many have gotten to that exact place, which is like, I am done having those toxic relationships. I am done playing small. I'm done not feeling worthy, or fill in the blank of what is not working. And then they open to, well, what else can it look like? How else can I feel? And discovering it's all inside. And we just need to kind of clean up and, again, kind of weed out some of those roots that are just still kind of playing in the background, making us feel like something's wrong with us, and saying, I'm going to put a stake in the ground and go, no, I really, really, really want a love that can connect to my soul and enrich my life. And a lot of times women have challenges with boundaries. So I would love to shift this conversation into the energetics of boundaries. You talk about the energetics of boundaries. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I was taught by a wonderful coach and mentor about this idea that we have, we all are born enough, and we've heard this, you're enough, you're beautiful, you don't need that. Okay, but what does that even feel like and look like? But that is where I believe boundaries and energetics of boundaries start, is really starting from the inside, knowing and believing that we are already approved of. We have this feeling of safety and approval and calmness inside. So when I'm talking about boundaries, energetics of boundaries are, you don't need to say anything. You don't need to march and get loud or bark or sit someone down and say, there are external boundaries, don't get me wrong, that when we do, no is a complete sentence and all those things. But the beautiful thing, when you really know you're approved of and you're enough and you're lovable and you don't need to do those things, is when you just exuberate and are enough, and you're enough. And so what that is what energetically are you available for? So I'll give you a silly example. When I was 12 in the 80s, it was normal for a guy to catcall, right? In the 80s, or slap you, right? On the rear at the skating rink. Okay. This was like an 80s thing. And we had our hair out to here, hairspray. This was a terrible 80s thing, but this was an 80s thing.
Yeah.
Or a little pinch or something completely inappropriate. And we didn't know better. I didn't know better. I thought, oh, that means they like me. Okay. I can tell you now, this is not something I'm available for. Someone would no sooner do this to me. I am just not energetically available. What are you available for and what are you not? That's a very silly example, but I know 5 years ago what I was available for in a relationship and what I'm available for now in a relationship. My partner now would no sooner treat me how I allowed to be treated 5 years ago or 10 years ago than I am now. And it's not a discussion I have to have. So it's about what are your needs and wants, and do you know how to even identify that you have needs and wants? And so many clients are don't even know that they have needs and wants and don't feel safe expressing those. So identifying what are your needs, do you feel enough? What are those things? Making sure that you know and believe and feel that your jars are enough, or where have you loaned your jars out to other people? So boundaries are pretty hard to have when you've handed your jar over to a partner over to a boss or to your children, can you please make me feel good enough? I've gotten, I've shaved my legs, I've made myself pretty, I made dinner, and do you think I'm enough? I did all the things you wanted me to do. Am I enough? It's a contingent. It's a contingency. That is not a boundary. That's, if I do
That's
this,
jumping through hoops. That's like, if I do this, then, this is what I'm hearing you say, is when you know inside energetically what works for you and what doesn't, things will shift, and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable will be very different.
Yeah. And it's almost hard to even see when we're doing it until we have it growing inside of us. Then you wouldn't even dream of thinking that you needed to do that. Then you want to do that. You want it. Of course, I love to do that. I love to have dinner ready for my partner or do these things, but it's not because if I don't think I'm lovable. Whereas I will tell you 10 years ago, I thought if I didn't do X, Y, Z, I might be left alone.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
Oh,
or if I didn't, get that promotion, my life might fall apart if I didn't keep that job. What was I going to do? Where would I go? All my value was out there and not in here. I had no boundaries.
Yeah, I resonate with that so much, way much. And I know a lot of our listeners and watchers are going, oh yeah, I remember that. And I still have things like that. And and I also want to just like underline something you said too, which I thought was really great, is it's in addition to the setting the boundaries of no, or this doesn't work for me, because there are nuances to boundaries. And sometimes we have to have those difficult conversations, and it doesn't have, boundaries get a bad rap sometimes because a lot of people, and I remember, oh my God, I'm just having a memory right now. I remember one of my first therapists, like 30 years ago, I was like, oh my God, she's so rigid. She's so rigid with her boundaries. And I had such a judgment about boundaries and just this hardness. And she wasn't like that. But inside of me, it felt like that because I didn't have that ability to kind of go, this doesn't work for me in a healthy way. And my understanding of it was, if I set a boundary, I might piss somebody off. I might lose something. I might feel like shit. Like there was all this stuff that went along with it. And what I'm hearing you share is there are internal boundaries that we need to know and be with and vibrate within ourselves. And then there's how we show up in the world. So let's talk about internal and external boundaries. Like what do you see as the differences? I mean, is it similar to what I said? Do you see it differently? I'm curious.
Well, sure. We need to be able to express with confidence what we feel inside. So, a knowingness of who you are and what you are comes from inside. So I think it starts with internal boundaries, and then the external boundaries just become an extension of that. So, it's hard to have external boundaries if we don't have any internal boundaries. So, yet I think sometimes people start with external boundaries saying no, 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 but they sort of then crawl inside a hole afterward and go, oh my gosh, what did I do? I regret that. What's going to happen now?
Yeah.
And we're an energetic match for whatever we feel. And so then we just get more of those situations that challenge our boundaries, right? So when we have it on the inside, it's so much easier because we're not drawing in and calling in those situations that, we're not an energetic match for it. But definitely I can talk more about external boundaries and verbalizing those.
Matching energetically. Here's a woman who might be dating or about to date or wanting to call in their love, and you're talking about matching energetically. I think it would be really helpful for them to understand more of how this actually shows up when it comes to relationships and calling in someone that matches. Can you share a little bit about how you view that?
Absolutely. We get more of what we feel. So what are you feeling? And if we believe that we need to do something in order to get something, then we're in this do. I'm not good enough, and self-sabotage absolutely comes in. So I have to do this to get this, or else, or else, or else. So I work with many, many women, and love is what they want to call into their life. Yeah. And the first thing I do is, let's think about a moment. And this is a very simple thing you can do, is think of a moment in the last 24 hours that you felt loved, you felt enough, you felt. And it might just be holding your kitty cat or holding your dog or looking at a flower on a walk. It doesn't have to be this like love romance moment. Allow your body and allow yourself to feel good enough and loved. Feel it, resonate it, let it fill your body and your cells, and feel it and resonate it and let it stay there. And that, once you have that vibration and can hold that and let your cells feel that and hold it and train your body and your cells and neuroplasticity and this vibration over and over and over, we become that vibrational match. When we are in a finder mode, or, I need to go find love, find love, find love, or excuse me, looking for it, we're in trouble. I'm going to reverse what I just said. When we're looking for the parking place, we never have it. When my partner is a crack up, everywhere we go, he's like, why are you worried we're going to find a parking space? I always find the front row, and he does. I, on the other hand, I'm always like, I can never find a parking space. He's just a vibrational match. I have a parking space. He's the vibration. I got it. So if you're the vibrational match for, I already have it. I already feel it. It is hard to feel sometimes what we don't have because we get in that lower vibration. That's why just closing your eyes and saying, when in the last 24 hours did I feel good? Did I feel happy? And just think of a moment where, like I said, a baby smiled at you or something. Let that fill you up, and you will find that you have a different perspective when you open your eyes. It takes a couple seconds. So we call in whatever we are a vibrational match for, and think of yourself as a finder, not a looker. A finder already has it. A looker is going to look, and you've got to maintain looking, and a looker will never have it. You just keep looking for it.
Wow, you just laid down so many golden nuggets right there.
Mm-hmm.
So many golden nuggets. So the looking and the finding, just that concept right there. Sister, if you haven't written that one down, write that one down. And that piece that you shared about finding that moment or that experience and breathing it in and feeling it and owning it, it doesn't take long to do that. And when you really build that muscle and feel it in your body, that vibration will change. And that's when things change in the subconscious realm,
right?
Because that's what it's all about. And when you were sharing about the parking, oh my God, I had a little PTSD on that one, because I was dating this guy who, let's just say, well, dating in the past, that kind of says it all right there, a lot of years ago. And we were driving in the city, and he was always like, I have the power. I have the power for the parking space. And I think there was a part of me that was, oh, come on, oh, come on. It's freaking New York City, So I wasn't in the, I have the power place, and I was judging him for sure. With that said, he was like, don't ruin it. You're going to ruin my power. You're going to ruin, and then he's like, that's why we're having such a hard time finding it, because you don't believe it. I'm like, oh my God. And yet there's something to be said about that. He was in the zone. He was in the zone.
Yes.
And very possibly he had the mojo and was able to manifest those things. And I was, like chipping away at that, going, well, if we don't get it, we can find a lot. And if we don't get it, we can go over here. And just my doubt and my kind of, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. And him being, I've got the power.
I know.
Like, oh my God. And that's what we're bumping up against inside of ourselves. It's like, I want to have an amazing partner, and I want to have love. And so let me find what's inside of me that's feeling exciting and alive, versus, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? Can I really have it?
Mm-hmm. And there's, I was working with a client recently who couldn't grasp this. Like, how do I can't express my external boundaries, or I don't know what you mean by being a vibrational match. And so this idea of a promise to yourself. So think of, a promise. If you're a parent, we know the promise we make to our children. It's unspoken. You'll do anything for them. You feel it. You don't, it just is. If you don't have children, it's something that a loved one, or something that maybe a passion project. And, this particular client has definitely an organization that she is very, very committed to, and is committed to growing and evolving and helping the whole world with. And so the idea is, okay, how do you feel about that organization? What would you do for it? I would do anything. I would this, I would that. I'm so committed. I'm so excited about it. Okay, that's your promise to that. Like, nothing's going to get in the way. Nothing is going to get in the way. You will stand on stage. You will talk. You will knock on doors. You are going to spread your love and your ideas for this message that you have. That's the same promise that we need to make about ourselves that will help guide your internal and external boundaries. And when you start to feel like, what's your promise to yourself? It's pretty easy then to say, hey, you know what? The other day, my needs weren't met. My needs are this, and those weren't met. And, we don't need to be attacking. We don't need to say, blaming, point the finger, because oftentimes we think that's what external boundaries are. You sucked, you didn't do this.
Yeah.
It can be, what, these are my needs and they weren't met. How can, we need to talk about that. These are important to me, and these weren't met. And so often, especially as women, we don't think we're allowed to have these needs. And when we have a promise, just like, any passion project or a promise to our animals is super easy, or our children or anything like that. It's like, well, of course I would do anything for that promise. Yeah. That's the promise we need to have to ourselves. It's the longest relationship we're ever going to be in.
And the most precious. Beautiful.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I know you have a special gift. We could talk for hours.
Yeah.
So much here. With that said, I know you have a really awesome audio gift for this woman. Can you share a little bit about what it is and how that can be for her?
Oh, talk about passionate about it. So it is called Limitless Mind and Spirit Hypnomeditation. It's just a little under 30 minutes, and it just takes you through a kind of a discreating of beliefs and then creating new beliefs that are, empowering and uplifting. So if you're feeling like you want to clear some things and install some new things, it'll take you, it's a vortex of healing, and it'll take you on a little journey. So you can go to free.wisewoods.com and just download it there.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. And that link will be in the show notes. So if you didn't grab it, no worries. That sounds amazing. And so, sister, if you are bumping up against some things that you need to dismantle and rebuild, this is gold. This is gold, as well as so many of the things that you laid down today. Boundaries, healthy boundaries, resonating, vibing, being inside ourselves, and really calling in
so much.
That match. I love, 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 love. One of the things I just said, I must. Not my podcast, I can. If it is a match on the outside, and you haven't done the dismantling, and if you haven't done the root pulling up and the cleaning up, just look at your life and take a breath and, don't beat yourself up around that. Just realize that that's why maybe it's been challenging for you. And maybe that's why you keep calling in some of these people that you're like, I can't believe I have the same kind of guy and the same kind of relationship.
Absolutely.
This is why this audio can be so potent for you, because this is going to help you shift inside to get a different match than you've had in the past. So again, take the shame off of the past, shift what's inside of you, and you can have a very different relationship the next one out. How to add that in. How to add that in. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. This was so amazing. All right, soul sister, I hope you enjoyed. I know you got some really great things out of this. Please share
Thank
it with
you
your
so much.
sisters. Yeah. And for any of you that haven't subscribed to the station right now, just like it, subscribe it. And if you've been listening for a while, write a review, because all of this matters. And this is how we reach more women that are sabotaging and not understanding why, or feeling like shit. I mean, like, this is why we do this work. That's why Christina and I are doing this work, is to help you and all the women we know have extraordinary lives. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Mwah. Bye, everyone.